another wrestling book, but this is from 1984. It has black and white photos mostly, and we'll go through this pretty quick. This had a cover price back then of only $7.99. Still got the sticker on it. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Jimmy Snuka, and the back has a picture of superstar Billy Graham, Dusty Rhodes. This is the jacket, and this is the inner hardcover of the book. And let's just go through it pretty quick. This one will not be as in-depth as my other book review on wrestling because it's mostly black and white photos, and it's much less in terms of photos, and there's just a lot more text to it. This was 1984. And a lot of wrestlers that were before that 1980s fame in WWF. And you can see it's black and white for the most part. You got Fabulous Moolah, George the Animal Steel here, Bruno Sammartino, the Wild Samoans, look at this, Andre the Giant. On my other wrestling review, I went over the photos in terms of the formats used. This will just be mostly a look at the photos only. Brad Armstrong, Tony Atlas, Bob Backlund, Nick Bockwinkel, Dino Bravo. He got more recognized in WWE in the 1980s. Bruiser Brody. This is one of the guys that a lot of wrestlers imitate in terms of their character and their look. Jim Brunzell. Carlos Colon. Look at this guy, backflipped. The Fabulous Ones. Bloody photo. Mike Graham. Hulk Hogan. Got good action shot. Leg drop. Austin Idol. Antonio Inoki. One of the Japan legends. Billy Jack. Rocky Soulman Johnson, this is the father of The Rock. Junkyard Dog. Really popular in the 1980s. Jerry the King Lawler. Wahoo McDaniel. Bloody. And another bloody photo for his profile. Rick Martel. Looks like he's doing an arm drag. That's the photo they chose for his profile. Mil Mascaras. Pedro Morales. Angelo Mosca Jr. And Senior. Blackjack Mulligan. The one-man gang, later called Akeem. Ivan Putski. Dusty Rhodes with the NWA belt. Tommy Rich. I think he had a nickname called Wildfire later. Mike Rotundo. He's the father of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, and what's later called IRS. Tito Santana. Sergeant Slaughter. Jimmy Snuka. Bloody. Ricky Steamboat. Just call him Rick here. Chief J Strongbow. Jumbo Tommy Tsurata. Japanese. Not familiar with this wrestler. Jimmy Valiant. Bloody. They really put the blood there in wrestling in the 80s compared to nowadays. Kerry Von Erich and his family. Kevin Von Erich. Barry Windham. Adrian Adonis. Ron Bass. Not familiar with this guy either. Some color photos, a few in the middle of the book. Hulk Hogan doing the leg drop. And this was common in the black and white days, that they'd give a few color photos in the middle of books, probably because you really couldn't afford it for every page. But in the modern day, it's always color photos. You know, times change. The LOD, when they were the Road Warriors, are much better in their prime. Look at that. Jack and Jerry Briscoe. And this is about halfway into the book. This is mostly, while the other wrestling book I did review is mostly pictures, this is mostly a lot of text details on the characters. Killer Brooks. Not much in terms of photos, it's meant really as a text piece. Ted DiBiase. Ric Flair. Fabulous Freebirds. Jimmy Garvin. Billy Graham. Stan Hansen. Really famous in Japan. Some really good matches there. Ernie Ladd. Magnificent Morocco. Masked Superstar. Ken Patera. Roddy Piper. Harley Race. NWA belt. Hacksaw Butch Reed. The Road Warriors. Really good profile photo there. Jake the Snake Roberts. Playboy Buddy Rose. Why does he look in pain? The expression in both of his photos when he's on the offense. Buzz Sawyer. Dick Slater. And I was in the ring. Big John Studd, Greg Valentine. It seems a lot of these photos were also before a lot of them made it in WWE and became famous and more well known with their later gimmicks. Jesse the Body Ventura, Nikolai Volkov, the Zambu Express, Larry Zbyszko, Abdullah the Butcher. Look at this, blood everywhere on these photos. Lou Albano, more blood with the Samoans. Ox Baker, the Great Kabuki, the Iron Sheik, Kamala, Ivan Koloff, Joe LeDuc, more blood, the Sheep Herders, later called the Bushwhackers, George the Animal Steel, Adrian Street, Wild Samoans. Somehow that photo looks very tame compared to some of the other bloody photos that we've just seen. The women, Fabulous Moolah, women's wrestling, the legends, Greg Gagne, Dylan Kowalski, Antonio Roca, Buddy Rogers, Bruno Sammartino, and Luthez. So that's the book. I went through it quick. I really didn't talk about in terms of the photos and the composition and stuff like in my other wrestling review, which you could check out that book. But this was mostly just a quick scan, look at the photos and what's going on in this book. And a lot of text in this piece. Looks like a really good read. And this is the old wrestling. Again, since it was 1984, it's before the WWF got famous, and a lot of these wrestlers here, photo-wise, would get more famous in the WWF later on, career-wise. And this was their career earlier in other companies. So that's the review, and thanks for watching.